Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your Erik Ten Hag press conference reaction for the huge game against Barcelona. I'm apologising for being a little bit late before we get into the Ten Hag show because I was just enjoying the chat, deciding who it's going to be on the show. Well, Adam was at the press conference, so it can't be Adam. I wonder if it's going to be Beth. Mark did say he'd be back, but sometimes he says that and it's not going to be him. Or it could be Charlie. You know, one day we're just going to get Ricky to do it. But anyway, hope everyone's doing well. Let's fly straight into it. Some big lots to get into. Some really big lines from Ten Hag, some really big lines from Rafael Varane ahead of this big game against Barcelona. But we'll start. I mean, he spoke about his meal with Sir Alex, which I loved. He spoke about, you know, the standards at the football club, how we keep winning, etc. But look, lots to get into. Let's fly into it. Big thing, injury boost straight away. We've got a triple injury boost, which I'm absolutely loving, and that is that Anthony is back available. Harry Maguire is back available, which doesn't actually mean anything, and I'm not being disrespectful to Harry Maguire, but it actually means nothing to have Harry Maguire back. I mean, it's nice to have him back, but it doesn't change the game, doesn't it? Like if Harry Maguire wasn't available tomorrow, you've got Victor Lindelof, you've got Luke Shaw who can cover at centre-back. So, I mean, it's good that he's back, and he was only out for a few days, and we don't know why he was out for a few days. We never get told these things, but he is back. But the return of Anthony is huge. He's apparently going to be in the squad, which means he's an option, and it just gives us more options. We've seen Bruno Fernandes playing from the right wing. We've seen Weghorst playing at number 10, and we just don't have a lot of options out on that right-hand side at the moment. And do I think he'll start against Barcelona? Probably not. But if he's an option from the bench, great. And if he's an option for the Carabao Cup final, even better. So it's great to have Anthony back because unlike the centre-back situation with Maguire, where we can get by without him, I think with Anthony, it's a very important option to have. And it's great news that they're both back. But as I said, the Anthony being back is significant. I don't think he'll start, like I say, but you never know. He's been back in training. There's a weird. I mean, look, it's not even curiosity. I just would like to know what the injuries are, because if whatever the injury is, you know, it's useful to know. I mean, it's not just pure curiosity. I'd like to know what the injury was, you know, because he has had issues with his ankles. Is it an ankle injury? Are we expecting this again, or is it just a knock that he'll be, you know, he's going to be fine for the rest of the season now? I really just want to see Anthony. Anthony needs to marry the word consistency, and we all know that. And you can only be consistent if you're starting games. But it's great to have him back. Charles says, games at home and the quality of squad upgraded from last game. We got this. Love the content. Keep it up. Hope you have a good day, says Charles. Yeah, thanks, Charles. Get your comments in. We'll read some of those out. Appreciate that. Charles has been a member for 46 months as well. Karama's a member. He says, any news on Phil Jones? I don't think it would be news on Phil Jones. I really don't think it would be big news on Phil Jones. I don't think he's trained in the whole time that Erik Ten Hag has been there, and he's out of contract in the summer. So I don't think Phil Jones is anything. But there we go. The other significant. Somebody just said, "What's the boost?" Well, Anthony's back and Harry Maguire's back, and they're both in the squad for the game tomorrow. Anthony Martial is not back, but there is still a boost there. I didn't expect I didn't expect two of them to be back for tomorrow. So to have two of them back's good. I'd rather it was Martial and Anthony and not Maguire, because nothing to do with disliking Maguire as a player, but just because Martial's a striker and we're short up there. But Maguire apparently had a knock, says Every. Thank you very much. Anthony Martial, Dembele's not back. I don't know why people think Dembele's back for Barcelona. He's not back. He was never going to be back, and he's not back until the middle of March anyway. So the interesting thing is that Anthony Martial is back in some sense. He's not back for the squad. I don't think he'll be back for the final either. He might be back for the final, but I don't think he will. But he's certainly not back for the Barcelona game. Erik Ten Hag basically said, with Anthony Martial, the situation is this. He is back doing some type of training, but he is not back first team training. And I think what that normally means is that when you're injured, you can't do any grass work, you might be in the gym doing a bit of, you know, it's difficult because if you've got a bad knee injury, there's not a lot you can do in the gym because your knee has to rest and recover. So, you know, you can't really run on the treadmill hopping along, but you can do some sort of conditioning work, light work. Martial, I believe, is at the point now where He's doing individual training, which will be, little shuttle runs, little ball works, gym work, but he ain't back like Martial, and he ain't back like Anthony and Maguire, who are back training with the first team. So Martial is on his way back, but he's not back there. Irving says sell him anyway because he's unreliable. Unfortunately, yeah, you're right. I mean, you are right. I mean, Anthony being back is probably the most significant player out of the three, isn't he? Because Maguire doesn't have a place in the team, and we've got cover anyway. Martial, we need him, but every time he comes back, he gets injured straight away. Anthony's the one. That's the one where the future is. Anthony's the one that we need back and playing. So, yeah, good to have Anthony back and excited to see him. In fact, we've got an interview with Anthony coming out, I think, actually, later this week, which is exclusive to United Stand. So we're looking forward to that. I think that's right. So, yeah, he's back. Romy Van Persie interviewing Eric Ten Hag, says Kev. I don't know about that. I'd seen the name Van Persie in the chat. I don't know what that's to do with. So if someone knows, let us know. Right, let's get into the rest of the press conference. So Anthony is back, Maguire is back, Martial is on his way back, but won't be back for the Barcelona game. So a few questions just to go through that Eric Ten Hag was asked. I didn't really understand this question. It was something about Barcelona spending, big club spending. Does that make it hard when you're competing against teams that are spending? I sort of felt it had the bones of being a good question, but it never really got formulated, and therefore Ten Hag never really answered it. I think the question was meant to be, do you need lots of money to compete at the highest level now, considering what Barcelona spent last year, Man City, etc. But it wasn't asked like that. So Ten Hag's answer was just very vague as well. He said, look, everyone's got to keep to the regulations. I don't know what the regulations are because that's not my job. My job is to build a team to win. So it could have been a good question, but it never really got off its ground. And if anyone in the chat knows whether I've got that wrong or right, let me know. Can't wait for tomorrow night. Batter Barcelona and Liverpool lose 5-2 would just complete my week, says ATD. Exactly. He was also asked about how the team is feeling at the moment. Obviously, we're playing so many games. Funnily enough, the question Adam was going to ask Ten Hag, but we didn't get to ask it, was he was going to say, look, the fans are in awe of what you're doing as a manager at the moment on how you can keep this team winning and playing well every 3.5 days on such a ridiculous schedule, and we're still in all the trophies. I mean, how are you doing it? That was the question that we were going to ask. In some ways, he sort of answered it in a different way to a different question, because he was basically said, I think the question was, are you enjoying what's going on at the moment? And he said, look, big games, big matches. We dream of playing in these games, and we enjoy it, and we're all excited. There were some good questions to Varane. Varane was asked about, the status of the tie, and he said, look, it was a great game in Barcelona. Both teams want to press high up the pitch, and they did that. But we showed personality and character and discipline, and we've got to take that into this next game where we've got to be patient and believe and ready to get the result that we need. The atmosphere is going to be electric, and we must manage our emotions and take the opportunity tomorrow night. I really liked. I love Varane anyway. Everyone knows. For me, Varane, I think is completely underrated. I think Rafael Varane is the best centre back in the Premier League with Thiago Silva, and I think they both don't get the credit they deserve. And one, because they've been doing it for bloody years, and two, because they are still world class. You look at people like Van Dijk last night. You look at people like Ruben Diaz. These two have been the people that are the lazy answer. The lazy pundits will say people like Van Dijk and Ruben Diaz. Well, I think Thiago Silva and Varane have swallowed them up this year and shut them out. I think they are the two standout centre-backs. In the Premier League, you've got pretenders to the throne who've done very well. I think Saliba's had a very good season. I think, certain Newcastle centre-backs have had a good season. But I think Varane and Thiago Silva consistently across the season have been absolutely amazing. Look, I'm not getting into the Martinez argument because I personally think that Martinez and Varane's performances aren't exclusive. They happen because they're a partnership. I cannot be asked to play in the sand pit with the kids who want to talk about Varane versus Martinez because you don't know football. The one legacy position in football is the centre-back partnership, and you cannot play well individually. You are a partnership. That's how it works. Ramos and Varane, Martinez and Varane. It works as a partnership. But Varane, for me, is way more important to us than Martinez. I think he is the senior centre-back. I think he is the organiser. And I think without Varane, look at last week in Barcelona. We were brilliant. Martinez didn't play in that game. I love Martinez. I think they're a centre-back partnership. And funnily enough, I can reveal as well, the question we were going to ask, if we'd been asked to ask a question to Varane, was going to be, you've played with Sergio Ramos for most of your career and arguably been two of the best centre-backs in the world for the last 20 years in that period. Talk to us about your relationship with Martinez and what he brings and what his qualities are. So it would have been very interesting to ask that question, but we didn't get to ask it. But I think Varane is, obviously very, very good footballer, but so fluent in English as well, and obviously Spanish and French and probably 2 or 3 other languages as well. We haven't really heard Varane do many interviews in a Manchester United shirt, and I thought that today when I was watching the press conference, and I thought this guy should do more press conferences. I mean, he's so well spoken and he's got so much experience. But Van Persie is at Carrington to interview Erik ten Hag for BT Sports, says Mr. Faith. Thank you very much, and nearly got a job with Ten Hag as well. Hi Mark, really love the channel and your work. Do you reckon Maguire has a clause for captaincy in his contract? Loving Ten Hag and all he's done, says Nev. Well, I think Harry Maguire will be holding up a... You need to take a deep breath on this, some of you, because I know it's going to cause you problems. And at the end of the day, if we're winning a trophy on Sunday, it's the first trophy we've won in years, just enjoy it. Harry Maguire will lift it up. Like, that's going to happen. Whether he deserves to lift it up, whether he's played enough games, whether he's good enough to be a Man United player, he's the captain of the club. He will hold that cup up. And you need to deal with it. Some of you just, I think, are going to struggle with it. But look, forget the Carabao Cup. The big game is tomorrow night. Let's get it back on. He spoke about the atmosphere. He spoke about the electric atmosphere, and they've got to manage the expectations. They've got to take the opportunity. Varane was asked another question that was really good as well. What's the difference between the 2 seasons, between last year and this year? And I mean, funnily enough, I think he nailed it. He said, look, confidence, discipline. We're tactically more in tune as a team, and we know what our job is, which obviously comes down to the manager. Quality in the squad is better, and experience in the squad is better. And I think he got a lot of that. I think he got a lot of that right because, the confidence is better. The discipline is better. The tactics are obviously better. But we also bought quality in the summer that we didn't have last year, and some of that quality brought in experience as well. We've mentioned Martinez, Casemiro, quality and experience. That changes any team. Anthony has given us a left-footed right winger. All right, he's not settled fully yet, but it still gives us something. Malacia has given us so much that people just do not realise. I mean, at the end of the day, Luke Shaw cannot play left centre-back if we haven't got a left-back. And people forget about this. I think Malacia has been a revelation for Manchester United. I still think he's got a lot of work, and I still think he's got a lot of development, but we could never have played Luke Shaw and Varane when Martinez wasn't available or playing well after the World Cup if we didn't have Malacia who could fill in. So I think Malacia has been a great. Eriksen, we forget about him because he's been injured. So I think that the signings we've made have been really, really good for Manchester United, and I think Varane's absolutely right. The quality and the experience that we've brought with that has been really, really good. Ten Hag was asked about his dinner. When will you make more career mode, Mark? Says Christian. Well, I do my FIFA career mode on Twitch at 3 o'clock every weekday, and I will be doing it today, but I don't upload highlights anywhere anymore. It's all on Twitch. Big Balls, Deegan, says, Barca are under scrutiny for paying off the referees over the past few years. Any news on that? I'm not looking into that, mate. At the end of the day, we got a draw in the new camp. Let's beat them at Old Trafford. We don't need to talk about Barcelona anymore. If they're being investigated for that, then hopefully the truth comes out. But really, let's just get on with it. He was asked about a dinner that he had with Sir Alex Ferguson. You may have seen it on the United Stand Twitter account last night at United Stand. I can't remember where our Twitter account is now. I can't remember. I'm Roddy Pickering. I don't remember. United Stand TV on Twitter, I think. Yeah, I think that's right. Anyway, there was a picture of it on there, courtesy of another account, which we credited, so you can check that on our Twitter account. Sir Alex Ferguson and Erik ten Hag having dinner last night. Ten Hag was asked about it, and he said, look, he's got massive knowledge. He's got massive experience. I love that. He wants to help and support me. This is his club. He wants it to win. And I'm looking forward to the next meal we have together. So I love that. I think that I think this probably happened for Sir Alex in the mid-80s. I don't know because I was a young child, but I don't, and obviously we didn't have social media. But I would imagine at that time there was conversations between Sir Alex Ferguson and Sir Matt Busby, and I think there's a very similar sort of thing going on here. I mean, age can't be too different either between how old Sir Alex was when he took the job and Ten Hag, and the age of Sir Alex and Sir Matt Busby now at that time as well. But look, it's not tactical advice. It's not this is what you need to do to beat Barcelona. It's more about life experience of being a Manchester United manager. I mean, you think about all the things that Sir Alex Ferguson did as a Manchester United manager. I mean, the amount of European ties at Old Trafford, tours, trophies. There's just so much information there that you'd have to be a complete island of pratness to not want to go and have a meal with Sir Alex Ferguson on the regular and just have conversations with him and tap him up. It's almost like, it's like Ten Hag said, it's great because he wants to support, he wants to help, and he cares about the club. And I think for someone like Ten Hag, it's fantastic, and you can see that he really did think that. Zach says, do you think we should get Thuram on a free, seeing that Mönchengladbach confirmed that he's leaving in the summer? I don't know. I mean, what's the benefit of Thuram? I think in January it was not a bad idea. Claude says, who paid for the dinner? I don't know. Someone should have asked that. That would have been a good line to follow up with if anyone had a personality. It would have been really, really good. Dembele's back in training, but he's not part of the squad. So, yeah, he's not there. Thanks for the love for the thumbnails. We have changed them after 2 years. We decided to change up the thumbnails. So they're actually, you start to see the different designs. So we're very happy with them. Big shout out. DK says, just wanted to thank you for the past few years. The main reason I could bear United with the Glazers. I felt anxious again when I read the news that they could stay and realised how much United affects my mental health, says DK. Well worth watching the morning show if you're concerned about the Glazers staying. It's a bit of a long one. I really enjoyed the bit about fan ownership. I know it's created a bit of a conversation, but that's what it's all about. The morning show was brilliant if you've not watched it. Really sort of makes people see what the situation is with the Glazers and why they might stay and why they shouldn't stay. Escape Artist says, hello from the oldest Man United supporters club from Malta. If only you had the choice and had to choose now with what you know, Qatar or Sir Jim Radcliffe. What a good question from the oldest Manchester United supporters club from Malta. I tell you what, I wish you'd told me what your stance is, because I know the Man United supporter club in Malta. In fact, I'm thinking of coming over actually to Malta. I really want to go there. So anyway, enough of wish you were here. Right, I'm not going to hide away from this question. If only you had the choice and had to choose right now, what would you go with, Qatar or Sir Jim Radcliffe? That's definitely the most put me on the spot question I've had of 2023. That is a ridiculous question. Thank you very much for that. If I had to choose right here, right now, I'd probably... I really don't want to. I want to say that. I really don't want to. And the only reason I'll pick this is because I know more about what they're saying than the other one. I just think with the Sir Jim Radcliffe bid, there's too many question marks. There's too many question marks about what's happening to the debt, how much money is going to come into the club, are we surviving on our own revenue, or are you going to bring your own wealth in the first 2 years? Whereas Qatar have said they'll build a new stadium, they'll bring their own revenue in. I'd go Qatar. Yeah, I would. I've not deep dived that. I haven't wrestled with my morals or anything like that. I'm literally just answering that question like that. So there you go. Who had the better career, Mark, Rooney or Henry? Not answering questions like this, Danny Doritos. Rooney. But the only reason I would go with that is exactly what Chris Longden's just said. On paper, it's the best option at the moment. I'm not jumping off a cliff for Sir Jim when I don't have any clarity. And he might have the clarity, but can't put it out because of the Rain Group. But ultimately, there's more clarity about what we want as fans from Qatar at the moment. And one of the biggest things is they will use their own money to invest in the team and the stadia. Whereas we don't know whether Sir Jim's going to do that. We don't know. Anyway, moving on. Also, a question to Ten Hag about Barcelona not having Gavi and Pedri tomorrow. He basically said, look, I've got no idea what Xavi will do without those two players. I've got no idea about what the tactics or what he's thinking. But the reality is they are two very talented young players that can't play. But the depth of that Barcelona squad is well known. They've got quality players who can come out, and we'll have to play our best if we want to win. Then he was asked a really good question that, well, I don't know if it was a good question, but it brought about a really good answer. It was basically a general question about the team, the season, how well they've been doing, and are you getting enough credit as a team? And he said it's not about credit, it's about trophies. It's about every game performing and being the best team you can be. It's about testing ourselves in games like this, and it's about progress. And we need the best performance each game. And this is something that I'm fascinated with Ten Hag, and I'm sure you are as well. I don't know how he's getting this level of performance out of these players every 3.5 days when, it's not logical. We're still picking up the injuries, but even with the injuries, we're still battering teams like Leicester who've had a week off and are playing well. So I don't know how he's doing it, but I think he's doing it on a mix of very, very good level tactical coaching and elite mentality around managing numerous types of personalities. I mean, to take a squad that was, basically backstabbing each other and leaking all over the place to a squad that is, it's got unhappy players in it, but it's not derailing. I mean, look, let's be honest. Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire, Wan-Bissaka at times, Scott McTominay, Fred at times, Ronaldo obviously left, to be fair, but there's players in that squad that would like to play a lot more than they are, but they're not derailing anything. Like, there is a real squad unity there, and some of these players were here last year. So what Ten Hag has done is remarkable. It's not just about results. It's not just that we take each game at a time. It's not just the tactics that he changes at half time or after an hour. It's the man management of that squad is remarkable, because we know that squad was fractured and toxic and blame shifters a year ago, and a lot of those players are still here. And credit to them, of course, but credit to a manager that can come in and make them behave like they do now. Like, there's a real unity, there's a real buzz, there's a real positivity. Nobody's downing tools. Nobody's giving up. Everyone's giving 100%. Everyone's giving 100% focus. There is no dead wood. There is no drop off. And he's right. It's about being, every game there has to be improvement. And he said about the Barcelona game, this is our biggest game of the season. We've got to put in our best performance of the season, which is remarkable when you think all the games they've had to play really well over the last 2 months. And yet the next game is always the biggest game, isn't it? And as he said, beating Barcelona doesn't win us a trophy. It just gets us to the next level. And that's what it's all about. Credit doesn't get you trophies either. If we beat Barcelona tomorrow night, it's a big result, but it can only be progress because there's no trophy there. If we win the league this season, says the top cat, do you think Glazers would stay, and would you sacrifice the league to ensure the Glazers go? I would. I'd give up a league title to make the Glazers go. I'm not expecting us to win the league anyway. So if that's the question, the Glazers will go, but we won't win the league. Off you go. I don't expect us to win the league. So and I wouldn't take another league title to keep the Glazers. So no, I would take that situation. Yeah. I think it's that important. I've seen United win many league titles, and we desperately do need to win a league title, but removing the it'd be short-term pain for long-term gain, guaranteed. Just wanted to I've done that one from DK as well. Thank you very much for that. Lovely stuff. I've lost my chat. Don't take my chat away from me. Do you think we will win a trophy, says Abdullah? I think I can't speak, says Corey. I can't speak. I think that we will have a trophy by next Monday. I'm very confident we're going to beat Newcastle. My fear about the Newcastle game, and I don't want to talk about it too much because tomorrow is, what's bigger? Barcelona tomorrow night or Newcastle? You get a trophy against Newcastle, but knocking Barcelona out is such a massive step forward for this team. I did worry about the Newcastle game a couple of weeks ago because I thought, well, they've got 8 days off before the final and we've got to play Barcelona on the Thursday, 2.5 days before the final. But I think the way that this team reacts to, you know, the event, the fact that it's at Wembley, I just don't. I think if it was at St James's Park, we might be caught a little bit cold. But I think because it's at Wembley, they're going to be nervous. I fancy us to win. I do, and I think the fact that they haven't got Nick Pope, the fact that they're not winning games very much at the moment, and the fact that we've got a couple of players coming back, I think we can do it. One thing I would worry about Sunday is, will he change the team? If we're picking Varane and Martinez against Newcastle, I think we'll win. If we're going to rotate and play Lindelof or Maguire, I think that gives Newcastle a chance. So I think we've got to go strong against Newcastle. You rotate against West Ham next Wednesday. Because to be honest, if we beat Barcelona tomorrow and we win the Carabao Cup on Sunday, the FA Cup, I'm sort of like, we've got to rotate because we've got Liverpool at the weekend. So yeah, I think we've got to go strong tomorrow and strong on Sunday. And if we do that, I think we can win both games. Locke, yes, Anthony is back. He's back. I don't know whether he's point. L1 says, what's the point in rotating in the final? I'm not saying he will rotate in the final. I'm just saying it's Thursday night, Sunday afternoon. It's 2.5 days. I mean, it's not even rotation. It's just whether he's planned in, I can't play the same team in both games. Which will piss me off because it'll be totally about schedule. That will, having to change a team because it's 2.5 days apart would really annoy me. But hopefully we don't pick up any injuries and hopefully we can play pretty much the same team. And I loved what Varane said about the game last week. He said, look, it was two teams who want to press really high up the pitch. Because I think we talk about Ten Hag wants to press up the pitch, and we talk about the difference between Varane and Martinez and Lindelof, or Varane and Maguire. But when the centre-back himself is saying, yeah, it was a good game last week, both teams want to press really high up the pitch. Well, we know it, but it's always good when a player says it, because I think some people think that, oh yeah, we can play Lindelof and Maguire at the back still. We can't because of what Varane said there. When it's Varane and Martinez, we really do want to press high up the pitch. We really do want to send our fullbacks forward. And Martinez and Varane are centre-backs that are very much like what Rio and Vidic used to be like, where it's like fullbacks go forward, midfielders go forward, we'll go 2v2. We'll back ourselves to go 2v2. We can't do that with Maguire or Lindelof, really. They don't like being left one-on-one. Gur says, what's the latest with Martial? Back in training, but not back for tomorrow. Anthony and Maguire are back training with the first team. Martial is back individually training. Might be back for the cup final. I still think that might be a little bit of a stretch. Am I right in Dubravka gets a medal if we win? I don't know, Zomler. Oscar says you are. Apparently Dubravka gets a medal if we win, which is weird. But look, Newcastle will have something to prove. It's their biggest game in years. They've got a big chance. We've got a big chance, but that's on Sunday. I'm not interested. We've got a massive game tomorrow, and Real Madrid tore Liverpool apart last night, and that was a big win for Real Madrid. They'll be wanting to do it to us tomorrow night. They'll want to be going, look, we've beaten Liverpool and Man United, two Spanish teams. We've beaten Liverpool and Man United. Shove your Super League up your arse. So we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Tonight, I think I am at 8 o'clock tonight. I'm really not interested in watching Man City play. I find it really hard to watch Man City at the moment because all those charges against them, I just don't find it very palatable. So I will do an 8 o'clock show tonight. But thanks everyone for watching. I'm not doing a watch along from the studio. You don't tell me where to do my watch alongs. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you have a good day, whatever you're doing. Oh yeah, Twitch. I'll be on Twitch playing FIFA career mode with my Man United side just after 3 o'clock. Speak to you soon. I can't speak. Speak to you in a bit.